episode 30 of the 3 Count Out podcast. My name is Era V1, and this week we have a very special episode. I know I say that every week, but this week I mean it because we have the long-awaited interview with Tommy Vendetta. I am joined by Jackal and Mike. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get right on into it.
Hold on, I've had this one in the tank for a while here. I'm pretty proud of this one. I got a joke for mainly Mike specifically first.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Sure.
What do you say when you are out bird watching and all of a sudden a former Alabama Crimson Tide quarterback pops up out of nowhere?
Oh boy, what would you say?
Hawk! Tua?
And that's the stream, everybody. It was a great... We had a good time.
That was great.
Man, so happy we had Tommy on. It was a good time. All right. Until next time, everybody.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jackal.
How long were you holding on to that one?
Fucking weeks, dude. That thing has been cooking for a minute.
I bet as soon as Hawk Tua girl came out, he was like, wait a second.
I have an idea.
We can do something here.
But I don't think you did enough to give this man the credit that he deserves, because he has appeared on the PWI Top 500 2 years in a row. He is 1/3 of the Wake and Bake podcast, 1/2 of the Pillars. He is the son of Darren McCarty. He is a member of the Death Threat Army. His own mother said that he is the most handsomest man on the planet, and this dude is certifiably batshit insane, and he is the current reigning, defending XICW Intense Champion. It is Thomas Oliver Vendetta.
Hey.
Round of
Thank you guys
applause.
for having me.
That was solid.
That was a hell of an intro right there.
There you go.
Thank you. I don't got much left in the tank after what I just did this weekend, but I had enough to do that, God damn it.
Oh,
I feel that though.
Yeah, I had a big weekend. Not as big or physically impactful as yours did, though, because we had to reschedule this bad boy around a little bit. But I think you were busy both Friday, Saturday, and yesterday. You said, right?
Yeah, I was actually. It was a wild weekend for me. I was in Canada on Friday, and then I was back home for Saturday, Sunday. But I was just busy. Booked and busy this weekend.
Getting around town, getting some shit done.
Oh yeah, just trying, man. Trying.
I was able to catch you at an XICW show earlier this month, because we are, at the time of recording, this is July, and
I think that would have been 2 weeks ago at this point.
So time is a
Roundabout.
blur to me.
I still got fresh.
Yeah.
I still got wounds healing from it. So yeah, I think about 2 weeks ago.
It was, in fact, called XICW Scar Wars, and I think after what I saw there, I'm pretty sure the scars are going to be there for quite some time afterwards, as you went one-on-one with a Mr. Chuck Stein in my opinion, one of the best matches of the night, if not the best, and I had a front row
appreciate
seat
that.
for it.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man.
Of course. I was able to catch you live super early on in your wrestling career at, I think it was a PPW show.
That sounds about right.
It's just super early on. Honestly,
Yeah, it had to be 2018-ish.
That sounds about right. I knew it was 100% before the pandemic. Absolutely.
Yeah, probably 2018, 2019, because they fired me not that long after that.
Oh.
Well, you know.
hey, I enjoyed my time, and since it was in Flint, and that's about a hearty hour drive from where I'm at now, I don't feel the need to go back anytime soon. I am okay with that.
I feel you on all levels there, brother.
But just from what I saw back then to now, just seeing the absolute growth, like the PPW show was my introduction to indie wrestling, essentially, because I mean, I grew up around the same area that Tommy did, and there's not much in this immediate area, yeah. And so really the only things that we had were, you know, taking the 30-minute drive to downtown Detroit, because I sure as shit was not going out to Grand Rapids for a fucking Raw.
Oh, hell no.
So whatever was in Detroit for WWE is what I had to experience, and seeing Tommy back then,
I was the same way, though. I was the exact same way. Like, I didn't watch indie wrestling until I was, like, out of the military.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think, because as someone who infrequently ever touches Facebook, just kind of glancing at it every once in a while, I think you posted some pictures on there. I don't remember if that was you or someone else, but regardless, getting that indie bug and seeing a whole nother side of the wrestling world is something that I feel like every wrestling fan needs to do. Like, there's more than WWE, there's more than AEW, TNA's also there, but just, you gotta support indie wrestling, man, because these guys are kicking just as much ass as the big name people, and this is how the big name people got their start. Like, seeing all the footage of guys like Mox, guys like Seth Rollins, Bryan Danielson, all coming up through these, you know, smaller size shows to end up working their way to the full-blown stadium shows. Is like, you never know what's going to happen at these indie shows, and
Oh, for sure.
I love it. I got the bug. I want to do more. Mike says he'll do more with me because I don't want to keep dragging my girlfriend out to every single show. I'm certain she would love to do anything else. But
yeah, plus I look like a dress.
Hey, there we go.
I love it.
It was fun. It was awesome to see you. It was a very extreme match with you and Chuck, and you had a cowbell. I think you wrapped it around Chucky's neck and walked him like a dog. He said, "You're my dog now, Chuck. I gotta take you for a walk now, Chucky. Come on, bleed for these people."
I had just watched Zero Dark 30, and I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. There's a scene where, like, the main CIA dude is, like, interrogating. It's like one of the opening scenes, and he's interrogating one of the, like, guys who's, like, known to have, like, helped the 9/11 hijackers or something like that. So they're trying to, like, get info out of him. And it was when they allowed, like, torture and stuff in the like, America allowed it. And they had, like, waterboarded him a bunch, and he, like, didn't like that anymore. So then the guy looks at him and he goes, "Do you want the water or do you want something else?" And the dude doesn't say anything. So then he leaves and goes and comes back with, like, a chain and wraps it around the dude's neck. And he's like, "You're my dog. I gotta walk you." And I don't know why it popped into my head in that moment, but I was like, that would be great right now if I said that. Like, but that's why people probably think I'm a serial killer, because I do shit like that.
Well, I mean, you know, when you do shit like that, it does kind of, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's an extremely valid response to, like, I've been told that I'm like Dexter. I got, like, that's the main one that always gets thrown at me, is they're like, "You give off big Dexter vibes." I'm like, thank you.
I think.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
I don't know if you mean that as a compliment, but I'm going to take that as a compliment. I appreciate that.
Exactly.
Now, I know I'm certain everybody has a bunch of questions. It's essentially just a Q&A time with Tommy Vendetta. In that world of sort of the more extreme side of wrestling, how do you get, like, get mentally prepared to put your body through a match like that before?
So if I'm being honest with you, I'm a little different from most people. I kind of just go. Like there's no like real like routine to get ready or anything like that. Like there's some guys that I know like that they like I'll pace around and stuff like that, I guess, like normal stuff, but it's just me like thinking about what's coming, what I'm going to do, like what do we call and stuff like that. Like I really don't, there's like not a moment where I like get into character. I just kind of always am, as like what my, I guess the gimmick is that I'm always the lovable psychopath because that's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I like, as far as like just mentally preparing, for me, I've just accepted years ago I'm already dead. So this is just borrowed time at this point. Like when my expiration date comes, it's coming no matter what I try and do. So if it comes in the middle of a match, I guess it comes in the middle of the match, but we're going to go out there and try not to.
The goal isn't to have that happen, but if it does, shit, it is what it is, but brother.
Hey,
that is a good goal to have.
If you don't know, there's a wrestler by the name of Nick Gage. He's a big deathmatch guy. He wrestled on AEW against Jericho in a deathmatch. He was like he's the face of the whole brand essentially. And back in the day, he was doing a deathmatch tourney, and he actually cut an artery in his armpit, and he died. Like as they loaded him into the helicopter to like take him to go and get fixed up and everything. And there's video footage of him like as they're like checking his arm, and like before he obviously like had died and then came back because they revived him, everything. There was footage of him like looking at the people recording, and they're like, "Put me back out there, motherfucker! I ain't a fucking bitch." And I was just like, "Jeez, that's a motherfucker right there, dude." Like, I have so much respect for that man. He like that, but that's like basically what you got to accept the fact that you dead already. Like, and the military helped me with that.
So, just having that world in front of you, and me personally, like when I was growing up sort of playing football, I would always sort of have all this film to go back and watch because everything in the football world was just so well documented and very similar to wrestling, but it was only well documented with the people on top. Because you can go back through Huddle and watch various high school films, all of college is recorded, all the NFL is recorded, this, that, and the third. And I always like to sort of model my play style after certain people. Like when I was in youth football, I always really looked up to Ray Lewis a lot when I was in the linebacker role, how he would always just sort of have this constant drive over and over every single fucking play, just making sure that if I'm going down, I'm taking you down with me type of mentality. Very odd for me to have at 12 years old, but still, it sort of put me through.
No, but I feel you though. Like that, Ray Lewis is a good one to find. Like for football's sake, like he's a football player. You know,
100%.
Dude's an animal.
For me, it was Corey Schlesinger from the Lions. The dude that went through what?
He went through
deep cut. eight helmets. He went through 8 helmets because he just was like, CTE what? Bam!
Dude, Corey Schlesinger is a name I haven't heard in years.
That is a real deep cut, Mike. That
was like when I played it. I just turned my brain off and I went. And I was like, well, it worked for him, and he's not dead, so it might as well work for me too, right?
That's like the best way I describe death matches. You kind of just got wrestling in general. When I tell people like who they're like, "What's the best advice you could give me?" Like I'm getting into wrestling. I'm always like, dude, you just got to feel it all. Like you got to feel the moment. You can't go out there and think, because thinking is where you start to lose it. Like you're not gonna be locked in if you're thinking about everything. As far as Chuck and I go, like with that match, we really didn't call a lot. Like we talked for a little bit in the back and like got a overall scheme of like what we wanted to do. and we knew like the broad strokes of it, but like the nitty gritty, like I legitimately before we went out, I looked at him and I was like, "What do you think? We're gonna go like we'll go like 8-9," and we ended up going like 15. And like same thing happened a couple months ago. I was wrestling Alex Weir, and it was late. Like I figured people would like be ready to go home type thing. So I was like, hey, let's like keep the main a little quicker. We'll go like 12, 10, 12. We'll just shotgun blast it at him. And then I walked back through the curtain, and I looked at one of the guys that was standing back there, and I was like, how long did we go? And he goes, 27 minutes.
Shit.
I was like, so okay, so okay, we went wrong somewhere. That's
right.
basically like that's how it goes. Like football, like that was I would just turn my brain off. I'd go out there, like you knew what you had to do, you knew what the plays were and stuff like that, but I would just like shut my brain down and I'd just go out there and go absolutely insane.
And with football, it was always sort of like you knew your responsibility, you knew what to do, and it ended up being a car wreck every single play. But with wrestling, it's still a car crash. It's more of a kind of a safer, improvised car crash, if you will.
Yeah. The best way that I like explain it to people is it's controlled chaos. Like you know you're gonna go absolutely insane, like, especially with death matches. Like you can think that it's not chaos. Like wrestling in general is chaos. So like once you buy into the fact that it's something that's just already out of control, and then you just control that out of controlness. I know that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but like with death matches, you can't control some variables. Like it's like glass. Like I got cut the hell up in that match with Chuck, and I didn't want to. But I can't control that. You know, so like you control what you can, and you just kind of let what will be in that way.
I feel the whole glass comment and everything too. Like I literally felt it. We were in the front row. It got all over both me and my girlfriend.
Shattered.
Yeah.
But like, fuck it, man. We're here. We want to immerse ourselves in this world. And it's funny you mentioned that. Like you didn't really plan much, because I can't imagine anybody sitting backstage beforehand going like, okay, so we're gonna do a spot where I'm gonna put a finger cut. Jesus, I can't talk. A paper cut in between each of your fingers. Like I don't want to plan that out. That sounds awful.
I'd quit right there. That's it. I'd be like, you know what, I'm out. I'm all set.
No.
Honestly, you do have those conversations, and then
Really?
like I always will laugh when I like catch myself having one of those kind. Like one of my buddies does skewers. He'll stab you in the head with like shish kebab skewers.
Jesus.
And
those a couple times.
we'll be in the back, and you're talking about the match, and he'll just be like, "Is it okay if I skewer you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, for sure, dude.
Do it, man."
And then after that, I'll take those out. I'll feed up and I'll do this. And he's like, "Oh yeah." And then like I'll walk away, and then I just look at somebody and I'm like, "What the fuck is my life, dude? What am I doing?" Like it's the greatest decision I ever made was deciding to do the pro wrestling. But there's so many times where like I'll just like I drove all the way to Jersey by myself to wrestle for 15 minutes, get right back in the car, drive all the way back because I had a show in Chicago the next day.
Jeez.
And like,
damn.
it's like, it was like 3 a.m. I'm fucking cruising down the highway. I got music blaring. I was on like my 9th Red Bull or some wild shit. And I just, and one of my buddies texted me, it was like, "Hope you're getting home safe, blah, blah, blah." And I just looked at the time and I was like, man, first of all, why is he up? And then I remembered he had a show, but his was more local. And then I was like, wait, and then I was like, wait, I'm worried about why he's up. I'm up and I'm driving. What the fuck am I doing?
Going down 696 going, oh, why? I hope he's safe. Wait, I should be safe. Hold on, what's happening?
Oh, dude, like after my match this weekend with Remington Roar, he smacked me in the head with a gusset. And on my way home, we were like made jokes about CTE and all that dumb shit all the time.
Yeah.
And on my way home, I just started giggling. And because I was like, in my own head, I was like, only in wrestling can you like get smoked in the head with something that they use to build stuff with, and still just be like, yeah, no, I'm good to drive home, dude. It's all good. Like I poured so much blood out of my head in that match, and I just was like, didn't even think twice about it. I was like, all right, guys, I got to get home. I'll see you later.
It's like, do you want us to call you an Uber or something real quick? Nope, I'm good. I'll catch you guys around.
I'll be all right, man. A couple deep breaths and we'll get there.
Don't worry, I got ibuprofen in the glove box. I'll be all right.
A couple bottles of water, but they're like the small bottles, you know?
Oh, the little kid-sized one for the lunch boxes.
You got to save on the money.
They're not even cold.
Oh, they're not even warm.
No, it's that like borderline piss warm water.
They've been in a cooler, but the cooler has been open. So
yep, all the ice melted, and then they left the little drain thing out, so even the cold water didn't stay in it.
Oh no!
And it's got that weird cooler smell when you open it up, and like it just smells bad, but it doesn't smell bad.
They actually supply all the wrestlers with Flint water.
Dude, honestly, there's some shows I've been on, they don't have any water in the locker room, and I'm like, at this point, I'd accept Flint water. Fucking spit it into my mouth at anything. I'm fucking dying of thirst right now.
Now, as someone who is a avid and frequent viewer of the Tommy Vendetta YouTube channel, that is www.youtube.com/Tommy Vendetta. You uploaded a vlog recently. I want to say recently, as of like a couple months ago, actually, where you, MM3, and Darren McCarty all went overseas, had a couple matches, and you just mentioned that you went to Canada, Jersey, so you've been traveling all over the place. Has any place that you've been to kind of stuck out more so than any other place, a favorite, if you will?
Oh, dude, in all honesty, the UK was one of the best wrestling scenes I've ever been around. It was so much fun. Everybody was so nice. They were so welcoming. They knew like when you went out to the ring, like you were playing a part and they needed to buy in on it. So like, when I got there, the promoter came up to me and he goes, "Hey man, we just have a lot of baby faces on this weekend. Would you mind being like an asshole?" I was like, "Dude, I love being an asshole. Come on now."
Sign me up. Pleasure.
Yeah, so like,
what do you mean?
Weekend.
Can I be one?
Can I? You're gonna pay me?
So like all weekend I'd go out to the ring. I was just being a dickhead, and then in my final match, I was wrestling a guy, Danny Darko. Shout out Danny Darko. And he had been beat up a little bit. He was tuckered out. Like I was tuckered out. It was the third match in 2 days. Like we were beat up, and I was like, "Dude, we're gonna get through this one." But I got a spot I really want to do because I think it'll get me good heat. And he goes, "What is it?" And I was like, "I'm gonna get you down." And I'm gonna be like, I'm fucking done with the UK. I hate it here. Fuck the king. And the crowd. And he goes, "The crowd's gonna cheer that." And I was like, no. I know that. And I was like, so then I'll say, "Well, fuck your queen." And he was like, "They'll cheer that too." And I was like, "I get it, dude. I get it. I'm building. Okay. And then and then I was like, and the last one, I'm going to be like, "Fuck Princess Diana." And
the crowd,
we had questions about this.
Dude,
no.
The crowd absolutely came unglued. And it was picture perfect. It is one of my favorite moments in wrestling, is the moment when these motherfuckers heard me say that dumb shit. And they were like,
"You what, mate? You what?"
Yeah. And then, but the best part about it is they like knew, obviously, like no one would say that and be serious because it's Princess Diana. She's a literal angel.
Right.
But they were all coming over to the merch table after the match. They were buying merch. They were buying T-shirts and stuff. Like, so like they genuinely like want to support. And like there's a lot of places in the States where they don't fucking support it. They just pay for the ticket, which is awesome. Like I love people coming and supporting and just buying a ticket, having a good time. You don't need to buy merch or anything like that, but every now and again is nice.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy, I hate to break it to you, the UK is apparently still pretty pissed because we did, as you know, we went on Twitter and asked if anybody had any questions, and somebody did go into the comments saying that they were still pissed about you saying "fuck Princess Di." That was I will burn art. Photographer, yeah.
You know, he's all talk. He loves me. He knows it. He loves me and he knows it. He just doesn't admit it out loud. That's all.
So
or in front of a camera or to anybody in general, but it's okay.
One of those unspoken things. I get it.
Yeah. On that same kind of point with questions that came from people on Twitter, EA McMichael wants to know what's a promo that you think you absolutely nailed. Was it the "fuck Princess Di" promo?
Ooh. I pride myself on my promos. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I pride myself on my promos. I'd say like my best one though, in terms of like what people have said is like the most memorable or anything like that. I did one right before the pandemic, and then it ended up being pushed until after the pandemic. It was like a year later. I was supposed to wrestle Danhausen before the pandemic happened.
I saw this one. Yep.
Yeah, and I cut this promo because he was doing the no swearing bit, like huge at the time. And so I cut this promo where I walk up to my trainer and I was like, Aaron, I don't know what's going on with me, man. You know me, I'm an avid swearer. I love a good swear word. It fits right into my bones, and I can't swear anymore. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, watch. And then I would like pretend like say a swear word, and I'd just put Danhausen's face over my face and have his voice say no swearing when it happened. And then I'd look at him and I'll be like, is that happening for you? Try it. And then he goes, fuck. And it works fine. And then I was like, oh, this is some horse. And it like cuts out and then it cuts back in. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to try one more time. And if it doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do, dude. And so I like try to say a swear word, does the same thing. And then I like pick up this like dummy that was on the ground and just throw it. And the camera cuts like as I'm throwing it. That was probably like my best one. My personal favorite that I've ever done. I was on a show. We were in a tag ladder match, and the gimmick was me and my buddy were kind of getting screwed out of the belts, and the guys that like kind of screwed us. One of the guys was a part of this tag team that we had like beat and kicked out of Michigan, so they weren't allowed back in, like as a gimmick.
Okay,
and from the state.
Yeah. Go wrestle in Ohio, nerds.
Where you belong.
So after the match, my buddy and I start beating him up, and I get on the mic, and the mic's like not working. So I literally just throw the mic down. I start screaming at the top of my lungs, and it got dead silent in the building. And I was like, "Oh, I got him." And I just started going in, and I got like real physical with him. Like I put my hands around like his throat. I like held him to the ground, and like got really like sinister with it. And we get to the back, me and my buddy, and then he comes to the back selling through, and he goes, "Dude, fucking great promo." And I was like, "Yeah, you think so?" He goes, "Dude, my girlfriend thought it was all real. She was trying to get in the ring to fight you. You didn't see that?" And I was like, "No, I didn't see that at all." And he goes, "Yeah, dude, she fucking hates you right now. I have to go tell her that it was all like a work." And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, dude." And anytime I can get like a genuine reaction like that,
yeah,
like that's what it's about for me. Like, I don't give a fuck about like winning championships and stuff like that. That's real cool and stuff like that. But like, I want some kid to go home and like 2 days later just be like, "Yo, do you remember this?" Like that's what I care about. So like, and that's what promos are. Like promos and like your matches are where you get people to remember you.
I 100% feel that because candidly speaking, I could not sit here and tell you my favorite Dusty Rhodes match. I cannot sit here and tell you what the best Dusty Rhodes match is. But I know for a fact, I could almost recite it. Hard Times, like those.
Oh, dude, Hard Times is the greatest promo of all time.
All fucking time.
That
besides maybe Austin 316. Austin 316 might take the cake because it was improvised.
That's up there. I'd say that. I'd say Austin 316, Hard Times, and the Pipe Bomb are top 3 promos.
See, this is my hot take of the day. I don't think the Pipe Bomb should classify as a promo. I think it's its own entity. I think because there's plenty of times where wrestlers went out in the ring and shot like that, like they did a shoot promo. Like Undertaker did one on Vince at the height of him being like in the Ministry of the Darkness, and he comes out and he was just wearing like sweatpants. And everyone was like, "What the fuck?" And he cuts this promo about like how all these WCW guys keep leaving, but he stayed loyal, and like all the it's a great promo. Like if you've never seen it, go look up Undertaker shoot promo. But yeah, like I think the CM Punk Pipe Bomb is like the best shoot of all time. Because like, and people will say like the Montreal Screwjob's the best shoot of all time. I think that was a work to this day. I don't give a fuck. I think it was a work. I think the only reason that that it worked as a shoot is because Brett and Mike and Sean genuinely did not like each other.
Yeah. You just felt that animosity.
Yeah, it was like Edge and Matt Hardy. Like when Matt Hardy came back and fucking jumped Edge after he had cheated with Lita, and he gets on the mic and he goes, Edge, I'll kick your ass, and Lita, you whore, and it's live on Raw, and I was like, Jesus, but that's what sells. Like you like, and now in the modern culture, you can't just have like a big tall guy like Andre the Giant go out there. And like everyone was just going to be blown away by his size. Like, not to say Andre wasn't immensely talented, because he was, but like it's a lot harder to get that over than when you like have something more that you can go into like that. And like being able to do like everything they've done with the Drew McIntyre CM Punk thing, like towing that real line, they're doing everything AEW fucked up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They've been doing it 10 times
the
better.
fact that they have Drew McIntyre taking pictures with Jack Perry, and then you have Kenta
fucking tagging himself.
Tagging himself in it. It just makes it all so much better, because you're like, man, you're like, all right, what part of this is real at this point? What part of this is fake? Yeah, whatever way it is, I like it.
The best part about it is that I can genuinely see them like doing all this shit and then like going in backstage and being like, brother, that was so fucking good, man. Appreciate it. You had me going when you did that, because that's what we do in the indies. Like, dude, there was a spot I wrestled, and it was my idea. I felt bad because he got all the heat for it, but it was my idea. I was wrestling Jason Hotch, and my buddy Aaron, his son had just gotten through his battle with cancer.
Wow!
So he had stepped away and things like that. So like he didn't want to fight. Was the gimmick? Was my buddy Aaron didn't want to fight, and Jason wanted to fight. And he was like, "Well, how do I entice him into a fight?" And I was like, "Well, what we could do is we could have somebody come out and jump me during the match with you, and then you put the chair around my neck. He comes out trying to stop it. You have your goons stop him while you're cutting this promo, and you basically say like, if you take one more step to the ring, I'm going to break his neck, and then that gives him his reason to not move towards the ring, but you want him to move towards the ring." Because you want to break my neck. That would be the gimmick. You're a bad guy. And he goes, "Well, how do I get him to do it?" And I was like, "Oh, man. Hey, Aaron, come here." Aaron comes over, and I was like, "Hey, can you tell me if this is a fucked up line and you would not want him to say it?" And he goes, "Absolutely." I go, "You should say something along the lines like, I'm not God, but if I was God, I would have taken your son. But since I can't take him, I guess I'll just take Tommy," and then smoke me in the neck with the chair. And Aaron goes, "Yeah, that's solid." And I was like, "Okay, cool. So he was cool with it and everything. We go out. He hits the line, got a fucking insane reaction. Ooh. He hits me in the neck with the chair, and I started like twitching. And then I look at my buddy, and this is the only time I've ever done this, and I immediately felt bad for doing it. because it's a very serious thing. You shouldn't like work it. I was like, I want to get people to like think I'm fucked up. So I was like, throw an X up. And I forgot that my girlfriend at the time was there.
Oh.
And she knew what that meant. So as they're like coming in to check on me, I'm like twitching the ring. They threw an X up, they're holding me and stuff. And then like there's adults in the crowd crying. Like kids are crying.
Everybody's going,
as they like dragged me to my lifeless body to the back. And then the second the curtain closed behind me, I like walked right up to Jason and I was like, dude, that was fucking perfect. And he was like, yeah, I feel like they hate me. I was like, that's the point, dude.
They just watched him murder a man.
And then I felt bad though, because we were going to a show a couple of weeks later, and Aaron's wife obviously was upset by the line. You know, she had every right to be.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't let Jason into the house. And like, we had told her, we were like, no. Like, we told him it was okay. Like, it's no big deal. And she was like, nope, I don't care. Fuck it. And I was like, ah. And like, but like when you can get that type of genuine reaction from people, it's insane. Like that's what you want in wrestling. You want people to genuinely feel what you're putting out and like connect to it. Because at the end of the day, if they don't connect to it, they don't give a fuck. Like, no one's going to give a shit if they can't relate.
To lead on that, have you ever had a crowd where you go and you're trying to do something and they're just fucking flat? Where you're trying like your best and it just seems like they couldn't care less?
Yep, I do. I had one not even that long ago. It happens all the time. Like, and it's kind of on you as the performer to know what type of crowd you're in front of, because like sometimes it's like a Japanese crowd where they're not going to be like popping for everything that you do,
right?
But like they'll get up for the spots that they're supposed to get up at, or like, and then sometimes you have like a PWG crowd where they're like popping for literally anything. You could flick a guy and they'd go nuts. and then you have like the old school like Memphis crowd who like wants you to like work a rest hold and like work a body part and all that type of stuff.
I want the
so
wrestling.
Yeah, so it's kind of just about like knowing your crowd. Like my first match on Saturday was in Windsor, and so I get there, I'm looking out in the crowd and I see just like a fuck ton of kids and like a lot of like younger couples. And I was like, okay, so this is an entertainment crowd. This isn't like an old school wrestling fan crowd. So they want the ha-has and the ho-hos. That's all they want. So I go in and we're like calling spots with these guys and like trying to figure out what we're going to do. And I was like, hey, like I want to do this spot because I think it would get like a good pop. And the guy, one of the guys that was like helping run the show was like, yes, this crowd will eat it up. And I was like, it's just about knowing what they want. Like, and a lot of guys on the indies haven't quite figured that out yet. They just kind of do what they do, and that's fine. Like, there's nothing against that. It's just sometimes it's going to hit, sometimes it doesn't, and you all kind of got to learn the hard way. Like, I learned the hard way. There was plenty of times where I'd go out and do some shit, the crowd would just sit there and stare at you the entire time, and then they'd clap for the finish or whatever, but they weren't going nuts. And I'd walk in the back and I'd be like, I thought that match was really good. And they're like, no, it was. It just wasn't good for this crowd.
Okay. So really playing the area, knowing the type of people that you got to sort of work to, that kind of helps out in the performance aspect of things. How I like how each area was differently, and being how much you like the UK versus how much the UK crowds, the overseas crowds, have been outperforming the American crowds when it comes to WWE PLEs. How they're much more rowdy, they get into it more. It feels like they appreciate the wrestling a lot more.
Well, dude, they had that fucking whole building shaking when they were doing in France for AJ.
Oh my
yeah, it was
like,
crazy.
The hard cam vibrating.
Yeah, because they have those cameras on stabilizers. Like, so there's no, like, even if people are like bumping into it, like the cameraman and stuff, like it stabilizes it. So that whole thing shaking means the fucking building was shaking. That's how loud they were. And that's a fucking wrestling crowd.
That needs to be more prevalent in wrestling nowadays. I like that WWE is realizing now there are other wrestling fans out in this world. We can expand outside of America and show love to all of these different countries that have been consuming the content without any sort of live shows. And let's give them more than just a live event where it's going to be untelevised little random throwaway matches nonstop. Like, let's actually give them some meat and potatoes instead of just some leftovers, man.
Well, yeah, dude, there's fans all over the planet. Like, you see I don't know if you like are on Twitter or anything, you've seen the soft ground Uganda wrestling.
We talked about them on the show.
Hell yeah, we did.
Yeah, dude, like, I'm gonna go over there at some point.
Yes.
I had like a little back and forth on Twitter with Lord White. So we're gonna make something happen at some point. I just don't know when it'll be. Because Uganda's obviously very far away.
Oh, yeah, that's a plane ticket and a half right there.
A little bit of a travel.
I watch their clips religiously because these motherfuckers are so passionate about it. It just I'm like, inject this whole thing into my veins, dude. Like, I need to feel the passion like these guys have, like every time I walk in the locker room.
And they're all orphaned, right? Or something like that?
I remember seeing something like that. I'm not sure if that's the case anymore. But I do remember seeing something along those lines. And like the Lord White dude is actually like a very genuinely good dude, it seems. Like he plays the shithead character and all that. But like
he does it very well.
Like he's the opposite of Vince McMahon playing a shithead character and being a shithead character, you know?
Turns out, hey, Mr. McMahon, you don't have to be a bad person when the cameras are off. The cameras are off. You can be a decent human being. Just as a little FYI.
And like, I totally understand the hate that comes his way because it's 100% founded. The dude did some wild shit. Like we were talking one time, like somebody in a locker room was like trying to defend Vince McMahon or something, and I just walked past and I was like, dog, like, you can't defend anything that dude did on TV. You just can't. He made Trish Stratus strip down and bark like a dog. Like,
yeah,
he had grown men kissing his ass on television. Like, there's so much where like
you're gonna join the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club,
dude. What the fuck was that? Like, dude,
wild. It was on TV.
There's so much that I like go back and watch, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Was that before or after he was pooping on people? Did he make them do it afterwards?
Probably
dude.
during.
He had to.
I'm gonna poop on that guy, and then you kiss my butt.
There's probably so many more people that have pooped on that he's pooped on that haven't came out yet either.
Oh, for sure.
Dude, that probably goes back to like the late 80s.
Poops Anonymous. Oh boy.
That timeline checks out, I feel.
Anyway, moving on from Vince McMahon shit.
That might be my favorite segue.
Let's flush that one away and move on.
Fuck's sake.
Fuck. Here's a question that comes from Gray Gaming 99 on Twitter. If someone has never seen any of your matches before, what's like the first match of yours that you would throw their way?
Ooh, it's a really good one. I actually remember seeing this question asked, and I like thought about a bunch, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I got one." If you're looking to see deathmatch stuff, I would say watch. This would be from 2022 or 2021. If you go back, it's an RPW Ruthless Pro Wrestling show that was in Chicago. I wrestled Hoodfoot. It was like one of my first major, like huge death matches that I was having. That was like, I jumped him beforehand with like a bundle of light tubes. So we had like a build up for it and everything. And it was the first time I wore a long sleeve white shirt for a death match. Shout out Andy Kaufman. And I got absolutely covered in blood, not just mine too. And there's a picture of me like smiling while like it's like a candid photo while I'm just covered in blood. And that just the whole match accurately describes who I am as a deathmatch wrestler. If you're looking for like a solid, just good match to watch where there's no blood or no weaponry or anything like that, there's a match on both of these are on IWTV. There's a match at Mr. Chainsaw Pro Wrestling. I want to say it was, again, 2022, maybe 2023, probably 2022. I wrestled Alex Shelley. One of my favorite matches I've ever had. He's one of the greatest professional wrestlers I've ever been in the ring with. And to this day, holds up, and it's probably like at least top two for me. So those awesome. Would probably be like the two main ones. If you want a solid intergender match too, same company, Mr. Chainsaw Pro Wrestling, I wrestled Shaza McKenzie. And it's genuinely one of my favorite matches also. Like that's probably like a top 10 match for me in general.
Oh shit. Okay. Now
go ahead.
Please,
go
Mike.
ahead.
You no, I'm gonna be nice. You first.
Okay. When he first said that, like, hey, I'm getting Tommy on, and I was like, I gotta do some research. I don't want to come into this stupid. The first thing I did was kind of work backwards, so I kind of went like, all right, I know he's wrestled people I've seen on TV before. I know he's wrestled names, and he's wrestled like certain people and stuff. I was like, let me see those first. Let me do that, and then kind of go towards everything else. So, like, I watched at the Alex Shelley one, I watched the Shaza one, and then I watched you versus Jake something, which I think is probably one of your more technical ones.
Oh yeah,
because all of a sudden I was like, wait, I've seen this guy put somebody through like light tubes and shit, and all of a sudden you're hitting like German suplexes and you're doing dives, and I was like, what? And it was so cool because all of a sudden it went from, hey, that's the deathmatch dude, to, hey, that's a dude that can do whatever the fuck he wants in the ring. And
I appreciate that, man.
Between Alex Shelley, Shaza, Jake something, all of them, and then seeing all the other deathmatch stuff, it really opened up what I was watching, because it went from a guy that does just what you think, because you're getting well known in deathmatch, I'm assuming, right? Like that's
it's the most the where I get 90% of my notoriety comes from deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah, and then like I said, all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, this guy is also really technical when he fucking wants to be. And it just adds a whole other layer. You're like, okay, so he could bust a light tube on your head, hit you with a chair, throw you through a pane of glass, or dump you on your head if he wants to. Choice is yours.
Versatility.
Yeah.
I pride myself on me and my buddy MM3. We're being the last true hybrids. Where you're able to do a little bit of everything, and you do it at a very high rate.
Like a damn Swiss Army knife. And MM3
Exactly.
MM3 was also at Scar Wars, picking up a little W over former WWE star Lince Dorado as well.
Yeah.
I was very, very impressed by that match. I did not know what to expect with that one, and that one I was very much blown away in the best way possible.
And let me tell you this: you see a lot of like fans shit on guys in the WWE, like, oh, this guy sucks. He does the, and like I saw it years ago with Lindsay, like he doesn't do anything. He's fucking, why is he signed? Blah blah blah. The dude is insanely talented, Like the guys in the basically what I'm getting at, like guys in the WWE. It's the same thing for football and like basketball, pretty much any professional sport. you look at like all these dudes who are on TV, and then you have these people who are sitting at home picking their belly button and being like, "Oh, that guy sucks." Like on his worst day, Lince Dorado is a solid professional wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And like him and MM3 put together in there, they delivered some absolute fucking magic.
And that's really the beauty. Where I find the beauty in indie wrestling is that on paper was just the biggest question mark for me, and just seeing the pot of gold that was delivered in front of me, I was that I genuinely can't stop thinking about it. I also can't stop thinking about it because Lince threw himself at my girlfriend sitting right next to me, but potato tomato at this point. Still haven't ironed that one out with her fully, but that's a conversation for another day.
In his defense, I've been in those shoes before, so
I would also leave you for Lince Dorado, so it's okay.
Dude,
wow.
I catch myself all the time. I catch myself all the time when I'm at shows. If I see like a couple or something, I'll just like start like talking at them in their direction.
Right.
And like I think it's subconsciously me trying to steal somebody's girl without even realizing that's what it is. It's like, I literally catch myself doing it every time. I like go to the back and I'm like, what am I doing? What's that? It's so silly.
So how do you?
I think he was trying to have sex with my girlfriend. I don't know.
How
he stapled that dude's forehead.
How do you pick out like who you're gonna fuck with in the crowd at a show, or is it just like someone starts yelling at you and you're like, yeah, that guy?
A lot of the times that's how it goes. Like on Friday this week, I had a show that was local, and when I walked out through the curtain, everybody's cheering, and this one kid was like doing the thumbs down to me and booing me. And I just looked at him and I was like, "You're booing me?" Ew. And he goes, "I don't like your face." And I just turned and looked at his mom and I was like, "He doesn't like my face," he says. I don't know how to argue that. And I just walked away. So then the rest of the match, every time I'd do something, I would turn and look at him and I'd be like, "You like me yet?" And he'd just like shake his head and laugh or whatever, and the crowd was getting into it. And then my comeback that I do is the John Cena comeback, the 5 moves of doom.
Yeah.
And so I hit the fucking 5 moves of doom and I put my hand up like I'm ready for the "you can't see me" deal. And I look at him and I go, "I know you know this one. You gotta say it with me." And like the crowd says the "you can't see me" deal. I hit it. And then after the match, I'm like selling, and I was like overselling it to like try and get the laugh out of it and all that, like the CM Punk laying in the ring while they're cleaning up thing. And as I'm like crawling to the back, I feel somebody tap me on the shoulder, and it's that little kid, and he was like, "I'll help you up," and I was like, "Hey, I won you over?" And the crowd came up like real big for it. And like, so a lot of the times it's just organic. Like I'll walk through the curtain and I'll see like a fan like that. There was one time I was being a heel. I walked through the curtain. I felt really bad, actually. This kid had a sign that said "DTA sucks." So I grabbed my buddy grabbed the sign. He was acting like he was going to rip it up, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah!" And then he just threw it in the air, and I was like, "Nah." So I grabbed it, and I ripped it up, and I just handed it back to the kid, and the kid started crying.
Oh no!
In his defense, it wasn't like an immediate like start crying. It was like I'm trying to be tough and not cry, but I'm still like the tears are coming out type thing. So I had like an American flag like shamag that I wore out to the ring at the time. I just took it off and handed it to him, and he was all good. Like once, sometimes that'll happen. You push it one little step too far, and then you just you end up giving back a little bit, and that's what it's all about for me, though. Just creating memories. And he still had the sign. I signed the torn up sign for him and everything. It was awesome.
That's cool. I guarantee you that he's not going to remember any sort of flips or moves from that match, but that is probably going to be a nice core memory for that kid once he thinks about wrestling. 100%.
His dad, every year, his dad sends me the memory on Facebook.
Oh, that's even
Oh,
cooler.
that's nice.
It's awesome. I love it.
If I can piggyback off of memories, one of my biggest memories from when I realized that Detroit fans were a little different from like the main fans. I remember I went to the WrestleMania that was here, and I was however, it was, what year was it?
23, I think it was 07.
Yeah.
So, Jesus.
06,
I was wearing my magenta Cena jersey.
Damn right you were.
I was cool.
Mhm.
And I
You
get
were
there,
cool
I
as hell.
sit down, and the whole crowd's fucking booing him for the first time, and I was embarrassed.
Oh,
And I was like, I'm wearing my jersey.
And everything.
Huh?
When he walked out with the Tommy gun and all that.
I don't know if it was.
that
It
was
was the one where he faced. Yeah, he faced.
This one's the
Shawn
Mustang.
Michaels.
Oh yeah, this is the Mustang where he crashed through the glass.
Yeah, it's the Fast and
then
Furious
they waited.
entrance.
They waited
everybody
like
was just
an obscene
fucking
amount of
booing
time
him.
for him to get out of the car.
Yeah, they had to swap the stunt driver. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, Cena, you mean to tell me you couldn't drive through a pane of glass?
You could have hit the brakes in 5 feet.
The Ford Field Tunnel's wide enough to drive down. You didn't have to Tokyo drift down the fucking thing, but whatever.
Yeah.
But it was one of those ones that, like, that memory stuck with me because I was like, I wasn't ready because, like, he was being cheered on TV only, and then he gets to Detroit, and Detroit's like, we fucking hate you! You fuck! And I was just like, I'm wearing the jersey. I'm so exposed. My stars are guarded. It's like,
Dude,
I was not prepared.
But that's like, dude, one of my favorite memories in wrestling was when I was a fan. I was still in the military. My buddy at the time, I mean, he's still my buddy. He was like the only other guy that I knew was like a fan of wrestling. So we bonded over it. We would like talk about it all the time, like figure out all this shit. What are you eating, dude? What are you doing?
Sorry, I'm hungry. I just want a snack.
Nah, my cat started nibbling on something. I was like, "The fuck are you eating, dog?"
Nah, you're good.
Oh, I thought he found us in his kitchen.
Shit, I forgot what my train of thought was there. What were we just talking about?
The memory you had from when you were a fan.
Oh yeah. So my buddy hits me up. He goes, "Hey man, I got tickets to a live event it's in North Carolina. I can't remember where. It was like by a university." He's like, "Do you want to go?" Like, Bray Wyatt's on it, Dean Ambrose was on it, John Cena's on it. Like, it was star-studded. So I was like, yeah, dude, I'm there.
That's a big live event. Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
Dude, it was a solid event. And it was Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt in a hardcore match, too.
Oh my god!
So like, it was super solid. And at the time, I was like a Smart Mark fan, so like I knew all the like ins and outs. I knew Bray Wyatt used to be Husky Harris. I knew like that type of thing. So I started calling him Husky Harris. I was like, Husky Harris. When he was in the ring, he hit some move on Dean, rolls out to the apron and like walks right up to the barricade laughing at us. And I don't think my butthole could have gotten any tighter. I was so genuinely scared that this dude was going to murder me in that moment. And then like he finished doing the match or whatever, he hits the Sister Abigail 1, 2, 3, and as he's like walking out of the ring, he just keeps looking over at us laughing. And I was like, it's a memory that's burned into it. It's like my own little Bray Wyatt memory, but it's like burned into my brain because it literally was it was awesome. Like the dude legitimately heard what I was saying. He took time away from it and like acknowledged it, giggled about it, and then just kept doing it. Like, it was so fucking cool. And then later in the night, John Cena came out, like did the high fives or whatever, saw me and my buddy, like snapped off a little salute to us or whatever, and fucking kept walking. We had Marine Corps shit on, obviously, right. and just kept on moving. But like, dude, that's the type of shit that people will remember. They don't like matches and stuff. Like, we remember like the great. matches. You know, like everybody remembers Shawn Michaels Undertaker 1 and 2 at Mania. You know, like the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair, Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton. Like everybody remembers all of those.
Yep.
But like the bigger moment from like the Rey Mysterio one is him winning the Rumble. Like that outweighs him winning the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
Like it was such a huge moment. They played it so well. Randy played the bad guy perfectly. Like
Always.
And that's what people will remember is the one that sticks out with that is when he was like, Eddie's not in heaven. He's down there in hell. Like, such a good line. You know, like it's awful, obviously, but like such a good line for an asshole to say, you know?
Yeah, it's what he needed.
Man, that's where I remember things. I just try to make moments.
It's such a good line. It isn't, but like it is for the character. The line, what he said.
Hey everyone, Era from the future. Ooh. Listen, this interview with Tommy went super long. We obviously wanted to talk to him for a very long time, and he was very generous and gave us tons of time. So Tommy, thank you so much. We are splitting this into 2 parts. So we have a whole second hour with Tommy Vendetta that is going to be coming out. Part 2 coming out next week or soon. We'll see. I don't know. But it is definitely coming out. But this is the end of part 1 of our interview with Tommy Vendetta. If you enjoyed this, you can go ahead and follow us over on Spotify. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell so that way you're notified whenever we post. And as always, leave comments with anything you want to talk about, any questions that you have for us, any questions or people that you want us to interview in the future. Please, by all means, let us know. Like I said, the second hour of the Tommy Vendetta interview, part 2, is coming out soon. This is the end of part 1, and I'm in a little bit of a weird spot because I'm not really sure what to do. Normally we end on a pinfall, but I'm here by myself, so can you pin yourself? Is that a rule? We're gonna make it a rule because I gotta figure this out. So I'm just gonna slap myself real quick. I'm just gonna count me. Ref me, count me. 1, 2, 3. Ring the bell. Fuck. Oh, it was a hearty slap. Right across the face. I did it for you. Gotta keep the bit alive. See you guys next week.